Okay, folks. I found this footage from the other day, and I apologize for not getting it out sooner. But if you watch these first few guys come through here, I have to say that this is the feeling in kayaking that keeps me coming back day in and day out. Beautiful arcing turns um, that just look so smooth. One of the things I often talk about with my students is this idea of rivers are run in circles, and we should too. And so, as you watch Jules here, he's almost never moving in a straight line. It's always going from one arc to the next arc. And I just wanted you guys to notice that with these first few guys. And then we'll talk about the keys of how they do that, which most of you guys probably have sort of are do on a subconscious level. So you can really see Tommy really carving those eddy turns and rocking back and forth and looking really good. And I would say the key to it is the downstream angle working into the eddy. I want to highlight a couple things with Darren. He does a great job with this, letting his bow drop until he has a downstream angle going into the eddy. And that way the stern is pushing you through. And then he does a stern draw to extend that turn and really carve it out. The other thing that's really great that he does is watch where he's looking right as he leaves that eddy. He's looking deep into his next turn, and his shoulders are leading that turn and guiding that boat. Really nice stuff. So we were talking about intentionality with each stroke, and you can really see with Tommy here how he drives the boat across the current, lands, and drives the boat deep into the eddy. And those strokes are very intentional. He's coming out of this eddy, and he's got a big stroke. He doesn't even need a stroke because his angle is so good. Anyway, but this is a good example of that intentionality. So as you watch Jules come across, look at his life jacket. He is the freak of nature of body rotation on his paddle strokes. There's no doubt that he's driving his boat with his body and his core. Once again, just looking at that intentionality, he's got great angle, great glide. His boat never stops moving. And just carving some great turns. My one thing that I would say to look at is it's a bit of a style thing, but his hands are a little close together, which might inhibit some of his power, although he has plenty to spare. So looking at Natalie in the background there, look at that vertical paddle stroke. The only problem is she's not quite in the eddy. She doesn't really hit the eddy till here, and then her angle is slightly upstream, and that causes her boat to wash out and down the eddy and not carve quite so nice. Now, she ends up pulling it out, and then she starts establishing that cross current momentum right there. She could work on putting in a few more intentional strokes, but look at this head as she leads with her head and her body and drives her boat down into that final turn. Great stuff. So you can see Nan in the background here. She's crossing that current, and she has great anticipation to really carve that turn out. But she needs to engage her core and push with her feet just a little bit more to really make the boat move. You'll see in these next couple strokes here that she's really not pushing the boat forward. But then look at this. She's like looking downstream exactly where she needs to go. And with a little more core engagement, she could really drive that boat through those turns. Speaking of which, if you watch Francois here, he does a really good job being efficient with his strokes. You can see what each one does. And then watch him as he's leaving this eddy. Talk about core engagement. Drives that boat with each stroke. Rah! Rah! There's no doubt that he's pushing with his feet and really making his boat move. So here comes Polly. She has great posture, always smiling, driving the boat well. And then right here, she decides to help the turn instead of extend the turn and kind of robs herself of that great carving feeling. if she'd put a little forward stroke or a sweep there, then she probably would have had so much energy she would have crashed into that guy cutting in front of her. So here's an example of that with Nate. He's coming into this eddy and he plans and drives a big sweep there to push the boat deeper into the eddy and continue his arc. Now his angle was a little steep upstream, and that's why he lost his arc coming out of that last eddy. Darren once again really driving that boat, letting the boat arc a little bit. You can see on that one he stalled out a little bit because of his boat angle. So this is great. Watch Nan really engage her core on this stroke that she's about to do and really set herself in the eddy. Bam, right there. And then she travels in a line across from this eddy to this eddy in more of a classic ferry. If she had let her bow drop, she would have had a much more carving dynamic turn. I just want to let this section roll because so that you guys can see how strong you guys all are as paddlers, and how you do a great job sort of modeling different dynamic movement on the river. Thanks a lot.